Hi, everybody. I'm the Padre, and this is the Pritch, but we call this show Pritch and Padre. We're happy to be able to share some thoughts, not very deep, but at least hopefully inspirational and humorous, and an opportunity for not only you, but for each of us to look a little deeper into our lives, right. See where we're going and what's happening. So I've tried to put a title to each one of these podcasts. We're doing a half hour at a time. And this one I was calling Catchers and Flyers. And the reason is because there's a spiritual writer named Henri Nouwen. In Cape, they'd say Henry. We both know Cape Girardeau, Missouri, so they would say Henry, but it's Henri. And Henri was a very deep theological mind and a spirit. And he used the example in trapeze work where there are the flyers. Those are the guys who let go.
Oh, wow.
And then there's the catchers.
Right.
So the flyers, in that kind of world, in that circus world, or the flyers get all the credit and the applause. Oh, but the catchers. And so he was talking about not interviewing, but talking to people who are like flyers, where the basis is trust that the catcher, and you as a flyer, you don't go like this reaching out, right. Because you just do what you're supposed to do.
You receive.
And it's kind of that way with God and our relationship. So we're flying through the air,
right? And
we have
unknown,
right? But there,
no net.
Yeah. There would be the catcher grabbing our limbs as we twist and turn.
That's very smart.
And do back flips and front flips way up high above the crowd.
That would be other people, not me.
No, you're the one holding down the pole so it doesn't bend.
I love being an anchor. Anyway.
You're like a sandbag.
Good for floods, not much else.
So speaking about flying by the seat of your pants,
right,
which is what we do a lot of times.
Which is a great way to have fun.
So I thought we might take some time and examine flyers and catchers in life, and people that you almost have to. This dawned on me as watching people drive up to the parish school in these big cars and where I live, and let their kids, and the kid jumps out of this and goes into another building, and mom goes home to do the work, or she goes to exercise, or whatever. But that she's like letting that kid fly, knowing that the teachers and administrators and the people who are running that school are going to care for her child.
Trust.
They're going to trust,
Right.
So we have so many situations in life where you say, well, you got to earn that trust, You got to do something to establish yourself to, so that people will open the doors and leave their kids out to go to school.
Right.
I mean, years ago, they didn't do that. They trusted if they were on their bicycles, or they trusted if they walked to school in neighborhoods.
Yeah.
We don't even have that anymore.
When I was a kid growing up in Missouri, I loved to walk into school, always felt safe and well and protected. When I was in school, always safe and well and protected. And it's why I work these school shootings so much over the past 40 years, because you want kids to feel protected, loved, honored, connected to the greater good. And it's hard to build that trust and to talk to parents when you've just, recently, I mean, we've had school shootings recently, but that trust has to be built. And when I was a Catholic school kid, I felt always that my mom and dad loved the nuns and the priests and took care of them, and we had parties with them and for them, helped them, and that we were part of that greater good, that community. And we would have packed Children of Mary Sodality meetings and Boy Scouts, and the meetings were always packed with dads and moms participating. A lot of World War II guys coming back, right? But the parish life was the life, and that trust is lost now, lately, huh?
Well, it's taking a whole different form, if not lost. But teachers have to almost like working at San Quentin, where you need fingerprint, you need this, and you need that.
Yeah. I get
you
it.
need so many other things to be vetted,
Right.
so that
And appropriately
there's
so.
a trust,
Right.
and no matter who you are, what kind of person you are as an individual, there other people have to know that you're there because you're a good person,
Right.
and you're not there for selfish reasons.
Right.
You're there to make a difference.
You're there to make a difference. I remember how, I remember one day when my dad got very sick with cancer, and the sister came in, and she'd never been nice to me the whole time. She was always disciplining, and I was not a properly behaved young man at times with my attention deficit disorder. You remember that from the seminary, right? So, but she came in and she sat with me, and she just started to cry. And she said, "Your dad's in surgery. He will be fine, but we all love you and we're praying for you." When she got up and she walked away, I went, okay, I guess I'm going to have to like her again.
She did something kind to you and for you.
Isn't that it?
Yeah.
Isn't that the reason that we learn trust? When people treat us with kindness and love and compassion, and especially when we're suffering or a family member is suffering, and they help you with your grief or your sorrow or your sadness, that trust is needed. And like right now, when I work with cops and firemen's families and first responders, PTSD folks and soldiers and sailors, you just know that all they're looking for is the softer voice that is the catcher, because they've been out there, it ain't easy swinging in Afghanistan and as well in Iraq during combat situations, and they want to be caught by an anchored, well-loving, kind, good person that catches them and lets them debrief and helps them. Same with school shootings and all the other stuff. But
Well, my grade school, Sister Dolores, I probably 4th or 5th grade. When do they force you to take piano lessons?
whenever your parents go, wouldn't he be better occupied more?
Yeah.
So,
But this religious woman, well, she was a great gal, and she taught my sister how to play the piano. So my mother thought, well, I could do it too. And finally, the sister sends a little note home to my mother saying,
no.
Harry will not save your 50 cents. Save your 50 cents a lesson. He won't take his ball glove off one hand. He can't play the keys.
You can't lobster
with
the
the catcher
keys.
mitt.
You can't lobster the keys with the catcher's mitt. Yes. Harry?
But she was very honest to do that, and I always, I always admired that Sister Dolores was her name, because she stood up, said, "Well, your kid just isn't going to make it as a musician."
I don't know if you remember that in Gone My Way when they started to direct the kids coming in the chorus, and the same with the bishop's wife with Cary Grant, and you feel young people coming in to find their own voice, which is very powerful, and they're singing together in both films, in Going My Way and also in The Bishop's Wife with Cary Grant. We won't bring that up because that wasn't Catholic. That was
really
was Episcopal. So, but what happens, I think, is helping them find that voice or that musical talent or art or whatever they can do is so conducive to their growth as individuals, And I was, I'm sure. What was it? You were good at sports and stuff,
Yeah, I always thought I was a lot better than
Well, that's pretty much every jock in
a
the
legend
world.
in my own mind.
Mr. Handball.
My total desire was to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated. So
Nothing wrong with
people
that.
said, I think I've seen you somewhere before. I said, instead of saying, oh, I'm on the TV Mass, I said, do you read Sports Illustrated? And here I am, 83, about just a couple of months, and I play handball once a week, but I couldn't beat the Little Sisters of the Poor.
Did any of them challenge you?
all the time.
I would pay.
Play for donations.
I would pay money at the Olympic Club to watch a nun in full regalia beat you. I would get her to trash talk you too. I don't know if that'd be wrong, sister. Sister, there's somebody out there that's good. That father taught him handball. We make millions at the Olympic Club. Humiliate. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay,
right.
never mind.
Yeah, we're talking about catchers and flyers. But I've made a living playing handball now because I'm playing right next to the wall. I stay out of the way of my
Keep
partner.
your arm on it. No, you don't gamble.
No.
You've never bet one of those guys.
Oh, no, that ruins the game.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I've seen so many people ruin good times by playing
Betting.
for money.
Now, can I ask you a question?
No, but go ahead.
As a former law enforcement probation officer, I would ask you, have you ever tormented your opponent? Don't look away.
Look in your eyes?
Yes, look in my eyes.
Tormented meaning, you'd have to define that term.
Trash talking.
Yes.
Humiliating them. Making them feel like
No, I wouldn't do that. I would just said, why don't you go get a drink of water?
Oh, you've never done anything worse. Why don't you rest
No,
yourself?
you know what?
Yeah,
I was one time I was playing with a younger guys, and they weren't that good, so they were knocking. I had an older partner, and they knocked him down, and I said, why you don't have to knock him down. Just grab his shoulder and say, "You're in my way. It's a block."
Yeah.
But no whack.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The old guy goes down, and he's got pads on his knees. And he gets on his knees. I said, "You all right, Fred?" He said, "Yeah, I'm okay." And that's it. But I tore into these young guys.
Yeah, good.
Because of that.
Well, my boss, Bob Foote, used to watch you play. He said you were like super genius. He was my, we would call him the warden, because he was at Juvenile Hall in San Francisco. Great guy, former Marine, tough old bird. But he was a big guy. He's like my size, and he goes, "Your friend Harry's really good at handball."
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. Who cares? That's not a sport I would ever want to play. Throwing a ball against a wall. Who would do that unless you were from...
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah. So I said that to a golfer one time. I said, that is the craziest game. You take a stick and who's the comedian that does that?
Robin Williams.
He did the golf thing.
He did the golf
God,
thing.
that was brilliant.
Yeah, he was
brilliant.
Brilliant.
And he goes into a Scottish accent.
Yeah.
He says, Scotland, what do they have to do in
YouTube
Scotland?
that, folks, and disregard the bad language, and we did not advise. Robin was the best. Oh, my God.
He went through golf like that.
Right.
It was incredible.
Well, when you think about, that was my epic rant. I said, what's happened for me over the years is working with Randy Cross, good, fine Catholic boy from the San Francisco 49ers, with the help of Sandy Lamson, who's at Mass next to me every Sunday. their family owned McDonald's, and we did Ronald McDonald House for kids with cancer at Stanford. It's now huge. It's like over 100 rooms. And we started that way back in the day in the early 80s when the Niners started to win, and Randy put himself out there. And I used to see Tiger Woods would come when he was at Stanford, and it was amazing to watch the growth of that. And I still go back every once in a while and talk to the kids who have cancer and stuff. But when you know you're part of something that your community, like Sandy and I and her husband Flip and their kids, helped build something that still heals families, that's what you call catching. Because when you're a family, if you want to talk about flying, man, you're flying when your child is diagnosed with cancer. Yeah. You know this when you've done a lot of work in that, right?
And just to say, I did a television show called The Kids from Company C.
Yeah, I remember.
And that Dr. Jordan was a brilliant saint. The way he treated, he was new, but he only took children as patients, and but he dealt with the parents the same, being a catcher, as you say, he had parents flying all around, not knowing whether somebody was going to grasp them or whether they were going to hit the net or the sawdust.
Right. Well, I remember I took Robin down there with me to Lucille Packard and to Stanford, and we were coming out, and here's a funny moment. Connor, my son, the big, tough rugby player from Loyola, is walking out with us, and he was a little teary-eyed because of this little kid who had neuroblastoma. And as we're walking out, the doctor was saying thank you to Robin and I for coming in. And I said, "Are you okay?" And Robin goes, just see how big Connor is. He goes, "What's wrong with Cuthbert?" Cuthbert. What's wrong with Cuthbert? He looks anything like, he looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin with the beard, What's wrong with Cuthbert? He was...
Tell the people what Cuthbert is.
Well, Cuthbert is a soft name that W.C. Fields used to use all the time to describe somebody who was prissy and sissy and go, "Oh, yes, what's wrong with Cuthbert?" He was the son-in-law, Cuthbert. "Oh, yes, Cuthbert. I remember him. Oh, what a wonderful young man. Can never get enough of Cuthbert being around." It was like, and Williams just popped that out of the air. Robin could pop stuff out of the air, names and stuff. He was hilarious, right? But when you see and what you did, because I don't know if you remember this, but I had the friends, the Mackeys from Baton Rouge, and their child was here, and you helped us with their baby Julie, who left us and went home to heaven, but she had neuroblastoma, and you were very helpful to them and the family, showing them the kids at Company C, and it was great. And that's part of our long legacy. That was back in '81. Huh?
It was before I went to New York, so it had to be at that time.
Early in the days, right? Yeah. And he went on, and if you ever need to go to LSU football games, he has an Anheuser-Busch distributorship down there that he...
Well, wait a minute. There's football, and then there's beer.
Oh, is there a difference? I wonder if he's German. Could it be?
He has the Anheuser, so they probably advertise with the LSU. They're big.
What he told me one time was, he goes, any weekend there's 100,000 people in there on my products.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I think when you think back, down south, football. I mean LSU, because this kid that just won the Super Bowl, that's where he was from.
Yeah.
And what a sweet kid that kid is,
really.
Right? From Cincinnati, and his mom and dad. The kid who played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right.
Now we can't remember his name. Neither one of us. And he could buy and sell whatever we do. with a week's salary.
Yeah, but you know what? He was great because he got on and he said,
Joe.
Right, yes.
Oh, don't say right.
No.
No, his name was Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his dad was a football coach in college. And they were great people. They raised a good kid. He talked about, what was important in life as an athlete, and this is the first time I can remember that, that's the thing. If you're an athlete, if you're that skilled flyer and you can help somebody catch what you're saying, there it is. Yeah. There's the difference between flying and catching. Say something, use your fame to make a difference and be medicine for a better world, right?
Right. So someone said to me, you've been a priest for 58 years. If you came back as a young guy today, what would you do?
Ooh, that's a
and
great
I
question.
said,
wow.
Well, I would probably do away with collections because they're kind of a downer in church. I'd just say, give what you can.
Yeah.
And then I would starve.
Oh, we bring you some food.
I'd lose weight.
No, we bring you some food.
And
Your parish loves you.
The mass would only be about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I mean, that would, and then probably from there, I would have general absolution so that no one would leave the church feeling guilty.
Wow.
Nobody should come to a service and celebrate and pray and leave feeling guilty.
Guilty.
And a lot of times, I mean, you hear it all the time. So, well, I saw a movie maybe a week ago or something, and it was a Hispanic family, and the preacher, they said, well, you're the first guy who's ever talked to us on Sunday that we didn't feel guilty.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what is it, the old thing? You make people. I'll think of it in a minute.
Well, I used to. You know what I used to tell everybody, Harry? I'd tell all the parolees, and I would love them. I would say, look, I said, I'm not here to fix you. I'm your neighbor. I want you back in the community safe and well, but safe and well for all of us too. So guilt is a bag of rocks. It's a bag of rocks. And if you're carrying that around, it's not helpful. Forgive yourself and ask for forgiveness from all of us and move on. What can you do? What else can you do? Because we had a young guy here, if you've ever seen him. He's very famous now because Cesar and Ra and Trevor put him up. He was on CBS News. His name was John Wallace. And what a remarkable moment. He'd spent time in Stir. And his mother, when he was on our show, The Remedy, had been hit by a police officer and caused permanent brain damage to her and a stroke. And he forgave the guy on the air. And it was remarkable because he knew, and he cried, and he needed to. And I tell parolees all the time, if you can get there to that point where that stone can dissolve underneath the spiritual waters, and you can say what you need to say and ask for forgiveness and mean it, not, that's when you're flying, but there are people there to catch you. And I think all of our crew were on the show that day, and we were all impacted by his story. Then he went on CBS News because he's working with kids in Novato, teaching them how to use music to heal themselves now. Kid's name is John Wallace from Marin City, nice kid. And, he's not a kid, but he's, he's older, and, when you reach our age, the kids that you work with. I had Pepe Gonzalez the other day. I walked in, and he's the principal at Laurel Dell, and he's got gray hair, and I've known him since he was a little boy. And it made me emotional. I go, you're the principal. You have gray hair. I was like, but this is what being in a community is all about. When you watch somebody redeem themselves, they fly and they get caught by good spiritual people. And that's what you do up at church every Sunday.
Yeah, well, I try. I keep people awake.
He could be used in a sleep deprivation clinic, folks.
Yeah.
You can't operate heavy machinery and listen to
Now,
it.
did you hear the story about the kid who was in a burning house and his dad was down? He said, "Jump, son," and he said, "Well, there was smoke in it." And he said, "But Dad, I can't see you." And Dad says, "But son, jump. I can see you." So this is kind of what a lot of people get themselves into situations
Great
where
metaphor.
they don't know that God is there.
Right. Can't see him.
You can't see him, and so the prayer and looking up at the heavens and that sort of thing, you miss it.
Right.
You and I don't miss it because we do it, and we've been taught to do it.
Right.
So it's part of our exercise, our daily exercise. But there are so many who don't have that opportunity in their life.
And for sure, Harry, my father, having been a World War II military officer, would not want to catch me jumping off, because that might not work out well.
I remember you talking about your brothers being refrigerators.
Refrigerators with heads.
Yeah, refrigerators with heads.
We had one brother, we used to rent him out as shade in the summertime for picnics. When he was so big, when he fell over, he was halfway home already. He was enormous.
I don't know why I'm laughing.
Well, it's probably just for the show.
Yeah.
You normally roll your eyes and go,
Yeah.
But, that is a great analogy, catching, I can see you, son. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it works. And it's
story.
it's the same story when the kid, he said, or his dad says, "Son, go out in the back and move that rock." And so the kid goes out and he can't move it. And he says, he comes back in, he said, I can't move it. "What do you mean you can't move it?" He said, "I can't move it." He said, "Well, if you ask for help, you'll be able to move it." So they both went out and moved the rock. But it's asking for help.
Right.
And it's a kind of a way to pray, and we don't think about that enough in our lives. That there are some answers
For sure.
even if they don't come exactly the way you planned them to come. There are answers to our prayers.
Which was the apostle that said faith in things unseen?
Well, this would be St. Paul, who defined faith as assurance of what we hope for and certainty of what we cannot, what we don't see.
Right.
Certainty of what you don't see. If you have faith, you're certain and you don't see it, but it's in hope for, assurance of what we hope for.
What do you think it's grace that sometimes you or I or somebody of a strong faith we would trust enough to take chances and take risks to just go do something, even though it looks treacherously dangerous. We're flying. But we know that somebody, something, some
catcher is there.
Right there. Right.
Yeah, well, that happens to me every time I get up in the morning. I say, I hope
at 83.
Right? I hope there's a catcher somewhere around.
Yeah.
Because every day is kind of a challenge now, and as you get older, more of your friends they pass, and it's human nature, and there's no reasonable way of just going in and handling grief. Grief's got to be grieved, and it's silly to think, oh, everything will be all right because I'm going to say the right thing at the service or at the funeral mass and make everybody feel good about so and so or what's happened.
Right.
So there some kids recently were in an accident in Nevada.
Yeah.
And the girl was trying to avoid hitting a deer or something in the road.
She had to avoid a deer and struck a tree, and a couple of the kids were severely injured, and one we lost whose dad was a His grandfather was a San Francisco cop. So
Oh, was he? Was that what was the name?
yeah, Wilhelm.
Oh, okay.
And
Because I was going to have the funeral next Monday for somebody in that family. I think it was a grandfather or something, and they called it off.
Yeah. It's, there's a line from Macbeth, always give sorrow words, grief that does not speak, whispers to the overfraught heart and bids it to break. If we don't express and alleviate our sorrows, folks, tears that do not flow will make other organs. We get sick if we don't. They'll make other organs weep inside of us. It is good to grieve. It is well to grieve, and it's important for us to do it in community, I think. And that's why a church service and a great minister talking to them just helps alleviate that sorrow, right?
Well, the tears come to me every time I realize that it's time for the Pritch and the Padre.
Yeah. We're done.
We're done. So I hope you, if you've been able to be with us for this time, you've enjoyed it, and if not, it's your own fault.
Yeah, if you're not having fun, that ain't our lookout.
You can just grieve.
I always like that line, but I used to laugh because John Wayne in the movies would go, he'd hear, hold it, horse, I smell panther.
Panther.
Panther. There's a panther up in there.
Oh, gee.
A cougar, a panther.
Yeah.
A panther. Yeah. Hold it, horse, I smell panther.
Is that the line?
Yeah. Well, Duke always had the greatest line ever delivered by John Wayne was in Sands of Iwo Jima. Life is tough, but it's a lot tougher when you're stupid. Well, pretty much every Marine sergeant that would say that to you would probably have it accurately depicted.
And what do you say about the kid who comes home to his dad and he says, I'm going to join the Marine
Corps?
Oh, yeah.
Nobody will tell you what to do there.
Yeah.
Why, you want to walk up Mount Baldy with your beautiful picnic basket? Anyway, all right.
Thank you all for
Thanks,
joining
folks.
us. We'll see you
Pritch
again.
and Padre, love you. Take care. God bless. Have a great day.